Yo, yo, yo. What is up, you guys? I got to get a better intro than yo, yo, yo. But we're here. Welcome to the Hangout. I'm your host, BJ Kicks. This is my YouTube channel. Welcome if it's your first time here. And this is the Hangout where we talk about comics, we talk movies, really whatever we want to talk about. This is the time we can let our hair down or out and have some fun. Now, this goes down every Thursday night at 7 p.m. So if you're joining me on the replay, I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you're notified the next time we go live. And I hope to see you live soon. Speaking of people who are live, if you're here watching right now, go ahead and give me a what's up in the comments. Let me know what book you're reading right now or what you're excited about this week. I got a few books that I read this week that we're going to talk about here in a second. I see my man Skip's in here. Skip was the first. What's up, bro? C. Rook is here. He's upset that he was a third comment, but it bees like that sometimes. Just how they say that. What's up? What the kids say? Trey says, "What's up? Can't wait for the book club." Yes, more on that in just a second. A comic bookworm. Hello. I really like your avatar. I like your avatar a lot. And Tim Sheeran says, "What up?" Give me just a second. I have an issue that really shouldn't be an issue, but it's an issue. Like, basically, how do I even fix this? I don't like it when my background is all squares and right angles, and then the badge, like you guys' comments, are also all squared and stuff like that. You know what? I like this one. I like this one. You guys are all big here. Certainly not necessary, but fun. Fun for me. But anyway, this is the hangout. So tonight's hangout is just me by myself until. So Trey Gillen just mentioned our book club. And yes, the book club is something we do every month inside the K Squad. Every month there's a different book that we pick to read. This month we picked three books for Halloween for all of your spooky pleasure. So here's what we got. We're reading Something's Killing the Children, Volume 1, which is, spoiler alert, I didn't get to this. We're also talking about Philadelphia, Volume 1, which I did get to. We talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago with Married with Comics. And then the last one was Lock and Key, which I don't even own. I never ended up getting digitally. But yeah, Comic Bookworm wants to know what stream app I'm using. This is StreamYard. StreamYard. I like it. No complaints so far. I like that it runs off the internet, so I don't have to worry about my computer's processing power. My computer's powerful enough, but I mean, if you're trying to read comics digitally, you're trying to monitor a bunch of stuff, and you want to stream, that can take a lot of CPU power if you're not careful. So I like outsourcing this off of my machine. But let's see. Tim Sheeran says, "I'm working right now, but I also can't miss this." Man, please do not get fired on account of me. Do not. A comic book worm says, "Oh, okay, very customized." Yes. So I do that in a number of ways. I have a background as a graphic designer. So I create different overlays. So all this stuff you're seeing, like this frame, I can turn it off, right? But that frame, I made that in Photoshop and just kind of imported it. And then even the countdown, I created a separate video, and we're all into how the sausage is made. But yeah, so that's how I've made it customized. I like to kind of have my own look about things, and it's hard to do that when you're using software that everyone uses. But that's how it's done. So yeah, I wonder what you guys are reading at the moment. Let's see. C. Rook says, "I'm revising at the moment while watching this." I'm assuming that means you're revising like a paper or a report of some sort. Stay in school, man. Do a good job. Blue has not started Something's Killing the Children. I started it. I read issue 1. And it was really good. It's really, really good so far. But I mean, that's one issue. And I think Something's Killing the Children is like on issue, I don't know, 19 or something at this point. I don't pick it up in singles, so I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, I read chapter 1 and just thumbing through the artwork. This looks like something I can get behind. It's just good old fashioned, like monster horror. Like, yeah. So let's see. Trey says I need to read all the Batman singles from this week. So I read Batman: The Long Halloween. I didn't realize until I was about to start reading some other Fear State tie-ins that I never read Batman 115 last week. So that's next up on the to read pile. And yeah, let's see. Comic Book Worm has been picking up random books from dollar bins. That's what's up, man. Dollar bins are great. When I used to buy records all the time, I would go straight to the dollar bins. And, dollar bins and comics are cool too, as long as they're not too beat up. Let's see. Night of Fun on TikTok says, "What's up? I'm rereading Deceased for my TikTok. It's 7 a.m. here in the Philippines, 1 hour before work starts." Well, man, read as much as you can. You can finish Deceased in an hour. That's how good Deceased is. Like, Deceased is just awesome. I read issue 1 of Deceased as part of the Halloween Comic Fest last year, and immediately, well, not immediately, a couple of weeks after Halloween Comic Fest is local comic shop day, or at least it was, if I'm remembering correctly. So I ended up getting the local comic shop day variant hardcover for Deceased, and that's what led me down the Tom Taylor rabbit hole. I love Deceased. It's probably my favorite thing that I've read besides House of X and Powers of 10. C. Rook is homeschooled 8 hours so far today. After my exam, it's going to be my birthday like 2 weeks later. Sheesh. Tell your mom to go easy, dog. Your birthday's coming up. Let's see. Trey says he read Lock and Key Volume 1 and immediately bought the compendium right after. That hardcover compendium looks nice. But yeah, I haven't read Lock and Key. I haven't watched the TV show or the Netflix show. Do you still call it a TV show if it's on Netflix? But yeah, I haven't read that or watched it. I tend to not watch a lot of comic book movies if I haven't read the book yet, with the exception of like whatever's happening in the MCU. C. Rook says it's all him. He could have stopped a few hours ago. Well, listen, man, be an overachiever. Although I don't know how much you're achieving on this stream right now. I feel like it's hard to split time. I feel like there's really not as much, or there's no such thing as like multitasking like people think there is. And let's see. Sugarman's here. Sugarman, what's up, baby? So yeah, I mean, this is a light. It's gonna be a light stream. I don't have like a ton of things to discuss outside of the books that I read, so I'm gonna share my screen in a second and talk about the books I read. Wondering though, like, what's you guys' favorite titles at the moment? This week so far has been like kind of a disappointing new comic book week for me. I read a bunch of books, and like the first 2.5 books I read, I was like not all that excited on after I finished reading them. So I'm wondering how things are going for you guys. Are all the books you're reading super exciting? Do you feel like things are dipping? Let me know. Tom's here. He says, "Hey, how are you?" I'm doing well, Tom. I hope you're doing well also. Skip says, "Okay, we back." He must have had to leave for a second. Welcome back, sir. Sugarman, no, I did not watch Injustice yet. I was at Target the other day and I saw the Injustice Blu-ray was out. And I was like, well, it's only a matter of time before it's on HBO Max. So I didn't buy it. And I have a thing with buying movies digitally. Ever since that whole, what was it? The Batman, God, what is it called? The Death in the Family. When they did the Death in the Family, like this whole like interactive version, but you couldn't do the interactive stuff on the digital. That's when I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna buy a movie, I'm gonna buy a hard copy. But yeah. Blue says television is an abstract concept. I feel you. A comic book worm said I like the Bermuda series because of inner artwork. I don't think I've heard of Bermuda. What are you teaching me today? Let's look. Bermuda from IDW. Okay, this series started out in July. I was not aware of this. Nick Bradshaw is the artist. Lynn O'Grady on colors. This looks interesting. Let's see. Okay, so it's about the Bermuda Triangle. Huh. Interesting. Interesting twist. That's cool. Let's see. Bagels Gaming says, "Hi, I'm new to comics. What's the best Batman omnibus for a beginner to comics?" I'm gonna go with two. So I think Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale is just a great story for like a beginner. It starts off with the Long Halloween and then goes to Dark Victory and Haunted Night. Long Halloween is like one of the best Batman stories ever. And so if you start off reading that, that'll hook you. The artwork is really cool. I'm actually doing a video about Long Halloween later on this week, probably Saturday. And but yeah, so Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. And then the next one would be Batman by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, Volume 1. Volume 2 is out in December, but Volume 1 basically starts the Batman New 52 run. And the New 52, if you're brand new to comics, you wouldn't know this necessarily, but the New 52 was an initiative that DC Comics did where they basically relaunched all of their titles starting over with issue number 1. So yeah, my two recommendations for a brand new Batman reader would be Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale and Batman by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. And Sugarman agrees. Let's see. Tale of Two Worlds is still an underrated DC animated movie. Why does that not sound familiar? What is the Tale of Two Worlds? I don't know if I've seen that one. And I feel like I've seen all of the DC animated movies. Are you tripping? Are you tripping, Skip? Because I don't see this thing. Crisis on Two Earths? Is that what you meant? Let's see. Mr. Helios, what's up, Terrence? Finally made a hangout. That's what's up. I've not read Injustice yet. I bought the omnibus. I've read parts of Injustice and I've played Injustice, but I haven't read Injustice. Night of Fun on TikTok says Snyder's Batman is what got me back into reading comics. I really love the Court of Owls. And Court of Owls has got to be top 5 Batman stories for me. I'd have to really think about the rest of that 5. It's Long Halloween, Court of Owls, Hush. Ooh, Ego's up there. And then Year One. Year One and then Ego, if we got to make an order. Skip says, my bad. Okay, yeah, Crisis on Two Earths. No, that was a really dope movie. C-Rook wants to know if I got a PS5 yet. No. Although I just found out that GameStop is restocking PS5s. They will actually be in stores tomorrow. I'm not even going to attempt it. First of all, the GameStop closest to me is in a mall. It is like a 4 square foot store. And I can guarantee, because I got that email like 2 days ago, there's going to be like 58 people at that GameStop, the same 4 square foot GameStop, and they're going to have 2 PS5s in there, maybe. So I'm not even going to attempt it. If I can't get it online, I'm just not going to get it. And yeah. So, nah, I don't have a PS5 yet. Hush is amazing. What's up, Kicks? What's up, The Dark Knight? I love that cover. That cover of Batman 700 is amazing. Doesn't sound good for COVID either. I'm gonna be real with you. Now that people are getting vaccinated and stuff, it's like no one cares about COVID. I mean, I still mask up. Where I live, we still have to wear masks everywhere. But I'm in no hurry to be like in a store packed like sardines with some people. Let's see. Not gonna lie, if you read Injustice, the movie is gonna be a big letdown. That's not good. That's not good. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like DC animated movies have kind of taken a step down since they technically ended their whole New 52 saga. And started doing like these one-offs, like the Superman Man of Tomorrow was like, eh. Batman Long Halloween so far has been like, eh. And then What else? What else is out? Injustice. I think that's the third one out of it. So we'll see. I felt like in all the DC stuff I've seen so far, it's like the animation is just weird, and the voice acting leaves a little bit to be desired. Um, in the last three, I mean. Now that run from Flashpoint all the way to what was that? The Justice League Dark something something War. That one, that run is just awesome. But the stuff after that, the Dark Apocalypse War or whatever it was called, yeah, it's been rough. Let's see. Spidey's still rocking a PS, or Skip is still rocking a PS4. His roommate left his to play the Miles Spidey game. Word. Yeah, I really only want a PS5 for the Marvel games that are coming out. So I want the new Spider-Man 2. I want a bunch of stuff that they've got going on. So they got a Wolverine game coming out too. So let's see. Yeah, Blue, the voice acting is the major decline. It's like the delivery on the lines is like late. Like, I don't know who's voice directing. I didn't watch the credits, but it leaves something to be desired. Somebody bring back Andre Romano. Phil Duran says, no, Long Halloween, Red Sun, Justice Society, all great. I haven't watched the new JSA movie. You know what? Justice Society wasn't bad. And I think Gotham by Gaslight came after the Apocalypse War too. I like Gotham by Gaslight. My wife loves that movie. So yeah, you're right. Well, at least I can agree with you on Red Sun. Long Halloween so far hasn't been hitting for me. I haven't finished it though, so I got to give it a good try, you know? And I've never been interested in JSA, so I wasn't even checking for that movie. Night of Fun says, read the first Injustice Omnibus. Pacing is good, really good. You might finish it quick. You know what? I need to go ahead and read it. I bought it almost a year ago next month. So, or I think it came out like Christmas. So I'll probably get that one in like over holiday break. I'll probably take a couple days off around Christmas and read that. I also am trying to finish up my Grant Morrison run on Batman. I'm in the middle of Omnibus Volume 2. That's the biggest project I'm trying to finish this year. But yeah, I think Injustice will be a cool palate cleanser before I go all in on the X-Men for 2022. So yeah. Phil Duran says Young Justice season 4 started off to a good start. Yeah, I've watched the first 3. I've watched the first 3 episodes of Young Justice. I can't lie, I'm ready for them to get off Mars. I'm ready to see some other team members, but it's not bad so far. Not bad at all. Comic Book Report says he's late. What's up, guys? What's up, Comic Book Report? Let's see. Phil Duran, Morrison, Batman is really good. Yeah, I got hung up with like the whole Return of Bruce Wayne stuff, like the way it's jumping between the Return of Bruce Wayne and like the Dick Grayson Batman and Robin is what's got me. It hung me up, held me up, and so I kind of stopped and fell off it, but I need to pick it back up. But yeah. So yeah, you're talking about Young Justice too. Yeah, Young Justice so far is good. I want to see more of the team though. They've got like all these other members teased. I want to see what Rocket's role is going to be. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Jury's still out. Bagels Comic says I should get the Hawkeye Freefall trade paperback. I've heard good things about that story. Why does that sound so familiar? I'm going to Google it. By Matt Rosenberg. Huh. Oh, and it's a mini series. There's only 6 issues. They're all on Marvel Unlimited. I might check that out this week. Phil says, yeah, I want some street level heroes to come back to Young Justice and a major mystery arc. Yeah. But again, don't get me wrong. The stuff that they're doing right now is good. It's interesting. I don't want to spoil anything since you haven't seen it, but there's some stuff going on with Beast Boy that's like, let's see how this goes. Let me also turn off Discord. Let's see. You read the Fraction Hawkeye run. They're releasing in a trade in November. I'm hoping to finally jump on it. I've heard such great things, but the omnibus was going for crazy prices when I was interested in it. I think the show's going to draw on that run. Yeah, gosh, drawing a blank. The promo image was like drawn directly from one of the Hawkeye comic book covers from that run. So hopefully, because that run is so revered, I'm hoping they do draw from it for the TV show. But I would like to read it first. Phil wants to know if I heard about the Milestone Media animated movie announcement at DC Fandom. Of course I did, and I can't wait either. I can't. I'm very excited about that. It can go a couple of ways. I'm hoping it goes well though. I'll reserve my thoughts. Did I watch Dune and read any recent Dune comics? I did not read any recent Dune comics. My wife has watched Dune several times. She likes it. Every time I walk in the room and it's on, it's a beautiful looking movie. I have not looked at the screen one time during that movie and been like, that was a bad shot. Like it's beautiful. But the story is I just don't care about. And maybe I should read something about it first. Maybe that'll help me with it. But yeah, I have no interest in Dune, even with it being super beautiful or beautifully shot. Comic King says, "Hey yo, what's up, dude? Radiant Black is the way." Radiant Black is amazing. Radiant Black is great. Blue says Dune is a lullaby. Exactly. Every time it's been on, I have fallen asleep. Comic Book Report says same thing happened to me. That's why I never picked up the Omni. Yeah. Don't want to overstay your welcome. Just want to say hi and happy hunting from Milestone Comics. Hey, much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by, Tim. I'll see you in the Discord if you have to go. Frank Castle wants to know if I have a favorite comic book cartoon. That's easy. Batman the Animated Series. After that, Justice League. Justice League Unlimited is pretty good too. Both of those are good. But Batman the Animated Series, then Justice League, then would I put Spider-Man or X-Men first? When I started rewatching, I could tolerate Spider-Man a lot better than I could tolerate the X-Men animated series, but they're 3 and 4. And then, I don't know. I don't even know what I would put in the number 5 spot. Static Shock at number 5. Those are the ones I watched all the time, and I don't mind revisiting. Batman Beyond, I still don't necessarily care about, like the cartoon anyway. But yeah. So that's my top 5 on the spot. Frank Castle really liked the HBO Spawn series. The voice acting in it is great. It's just so dark. That's how I felt about Spawn. I tried to binge watch it. It's on HBO Max. I think it's still on HBO Max. Let's see. Batman animated series is the GOAT. Yeah, it's the greatest. I literally was watching a documentary, like the making of Batman the animated series earlier today. Just had it playing while I was feeding my daughter. I love that. If they made like 30 seasons like of Batman the animated series, even if it like declined in quality each time, I'd still watch all of it every time. I loved it. All right, here we are, almost 30 minutes into the stream, and I've not done a single comic review. So let's do this. Let's switch some things around, and I'm gonna show you guys what I've read this week and what I thought about it. Obviously, I just picked up all my comics yesterday, and some of them have been really great. Some of them like but I have not gotten to my whole stack. And the whole stack is over here, including like some freebies because it's Halloween Comic Fest. But let's see. Trey wants to know if I saw Shannon's Kevin Conroy clip. Yes. Shannon told me when he was going to do it, and then he sent it to me when it got done. I wish I had thought of it. It's awesome though. It's super awesome. I'm mildly optimistic for Batman the Cape Crusader. I feel like we don't value enough Paul Dini's role in the animated series. I love that Bruce Timm is on board. I love that Matt Reeves is on board, but I haven't seen Matt Reeves' Batman yet to know if I'm gonna like it. And J.J. Abrams, if I'm judging off his Spider-Man, you know, but it seems like Bruce Timm, when left to his own devices, just makes really strange decisions with these animated properties. Like if you saw the Killing Joke movie, was it the Killing Joke movie where Barbara and Batman are like together? Or like, yeah, that was a Killing Joke. Didn't need to be that. That was weird. But I'm cautiously optimistic to return to that world. Let's see. So yeah, I knew the comics would really love Avengers No Road Home, Eternals Omnibus, and Nightwing Rebirth Deluxe Editions. Yo, I started reading Nightwing later on in the run. And I'm gonna tell you, when he turns into Rick Grayson, like that whole thing is just like, ugh, ugh. Wheelchair superhero, what's up, dude? I love that outfit. Always love seeing you pop in the streams. Yes, yes, that's why it was weird. That's what made it weird. And Trey is here. Trey's Trey decided to log in from 2 different accounts to comment in the stream. That's what's up. But yeah. So, books I read this week. So, started off with Amazing Spider-Man issue 77. You know what? I guess I'm going in alphabetical order, not the order I read them in. But Amazing Spider-Man 77, I was super excited going into this issue because the last 2 issues have been really, really solid. We had artwork by Patrick Gleason. I think it was written by, is it Joe Kelly? Did Joe Kelly write those last 2 issues? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm creating names out of nowhere. But the last issue, issue 76, was dope. Issue 75 was dope. Issue 77, oh, Zeb Wells, my bad. Zeb Wells was right, who wrote the last 2 issues. Issue 77 is written by Kelly Thompson with artwork by Sarah Pichelli, a.k.a. I co-created Miles Morales, Sarah Pichelli. And the artwork not being done by Patrick Gleason definitely was a step down, like a noticeable step down. And the story starts off like I'm expecting, because in the last issue, Peter Parker gets taken off the table. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, whatever threat is coming, we're going to see Ben Reilly fighting it head on. I'm going to get Patrick Gleason drawing a bunch of Ben Reilly action shots with that cool new suit. I'm excited about it. And that is not what happened. We got a whole bunch of Ben Reilly moping around, Ben Reilly getting trained by some people. But then the last 5 pages was just a twist that I didn't see coming. And the last page reveal got me super excited for issue 78. So that's how it went. It was really slow until it wasn't. And it saved itself. So I gave this one like a 7.5 out of 10, all from the strength of the last 5 pages. I thought it was really well, maybe not well done, because I feel like I shouldn't have been like falling asleep on the issue, but it saved itself. It redeemed itself. Although I have no idea what this cover has to do with the book. Like there's literally nothing that happens on the inside of this book that matches this cover, but it looks cool. It looks cool. Sugar Man said Bruce got that booty, then ghosted her. There was literally no reason for them to be romantically involved. Like, especially since Batman treats the Bat family like they're all his children. Like, that was just weird. It was just weird. There was no reason for it to happen. So that's what I thought about ASM 77. Let's go back to my pull. Let's see what else I read this week. I'll do Batman the Long Halloween special last. All right, let's move over to Marvel, because I did read Inferno #2 from Jonathan Hickman this week. And I got to say, man, this one was slow. I think I gave this one a 7 as well. And because it was just in the last issue, it's revealed. I don't want to spoil stuff in case you didn't read it. You might not have picked up your pull list yet. If you want spoilers, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Yo, C-Rook says that's almost as weird as West Virginia. That's hilarious. And that's a great callback to past episodes of the Hangout. But yeah, so Inferno #1. Basically, it's been this whole thing like that was set up way back in House of X, where they're like, yo, if Charles and Magneto won't bring Destiny back, then Destiny was like, yo, Mystique, like burn the place down. Like, just figure it out. Bring me back or kill everybody or whatever, right? So in issue number 1, let's see. Phil says, what pull list ID you use? This is League of Comic Geeks. It was great until COVID started delaying books and like, anyway, I like it. It works well. But yeah, so basically in the last issue, it's revealed that I'm just going to spoil it. I'm just going to spoil issue number 1. It's revealed that Mystique has already brought Destiny back. They were trying to go in and like destroy all of her DNA and all this stuff so that she could never be brought back. And come to find out, she just pops up at a quiet council meeting. And you're like, bro, what? And then, so issue 2 picks up basically from there. Charles and Magneto are like clearly perturbed. They're like, yo, like, how did this happen? And then we get flashback that tells us exactly how Mystique brought Destiny back. And that's about all that we get happen, right? We like Mystique brings Destiny back. We see in great detail how she brought her back. And then we see in great detail how she convinces the Quiet Council to vote Destiny onto the Quiet Council. And then the issue ends with them voting someone else onto the Quiet Council that I will not spoil. All in all, I just feel like we're like 35 issues into this run. After this issue, there are 2 issues left in Jonathan Hickman's X-Men run. And I don't feel like he's going to answer any of the questions. I don't know how he's going to answer all the questions in a satisfying way when there's only like 80 pages of comic left to do it in. I'm not like completely down on it. It's still good. I just feel like we should be further along than this. Like, there's a whole arc that takes place in this issue where they literally said that Destiny had been brought back for like a month. I'm like, that could have been done in the main X-Men title when we were like doing nothing for like 10 issues. So all in all, the issue isn't bad. It's kind of highlights what's so frustrating about the whole Hickman X-Men era at the times. Night of Fun on TikTok says, I've been enjoying Jed McKay's Magic the Gathering run from Boom Studios on issue 4 now. Trying to catch up. Easy to read if you don't play the card game. I've literally never played the card game. I have no idea what it's about. So maybe I'll check it out though. Maybe I'll read issue 1 digitally. But honestly, I got enough stuff on my pull list. I probably should just leave it at where I'm at. So yeah, Inferno number 2. I don't even remember what I rated this one at. By the way, if you're in the K Squad, you got a sneak peek at all of my comic book reviews so far this week. But let's look here. I gave Inferno number 2. Did I rate it? Yeah, I did. 7 out of 10. That's fair. Yeah, 7.5. The issue itself wasn't done poorly. I just hate that we're still in the exposition phase of all this. Let's see. Bagels Comics wants to know what my favorite omnibus I've ever ordered from OPB. From OPB, let's see. It's not an omnibus. It's the Usagi Yojimbo slipcase. That's my favorite thing that I've gotten from OPB so far. Rupert says, sorry, I'm late, still at work. No worries, Rupert. C-Rook forgot to buy Inferno number 1. Inferno number 1 is really, really good. Inferno number 2, I just felt like should have kept that same pace, and all of a sudden we're starting getting flashbacks. So there's that. But yeah, so the next book we'll talk about that I've read, let's get into it. DC versus Vampires number 1. So DC versus Vampires, written by James Tynion, artwork by Matthew. Oh, it's also written by Matthew Rosenberg. So they co-wrote it. And who does the art? Otto Schmidt. This is an Otto Schmidt cover here. So basically, there are vampires in the DC universe. We don't know exactly how they got there, but there's a character in here that kind of tells us what's going on. So there's basically like a vampire that kind of betrays the vampires. There's a twist in this issue because basically we find out that Hal Jordan basically rescues this vampire who is trying to deliver an urgent message to the Justice League. And all the Justice League is basically off-world handling other stuff. They left Hal Jordan at the Hall of Justice to kind of hold stuff down, defend the home front if something were to happen. So this vampire comes to the Hall of Justice and, explains to Hal Jordan what this looming threat is. There's a twist like 3/4 of the way through the issue that I was like, okay. And then the issue continues. And so all the excitement that I had in that moment kind of dwindled. It maybe didn't need to dwindle as much as it did, but here's my issue with this book. When I see DC versus vampires, I immediately think of Deceased, right? DC zombies or whatever. And it's hard to enjoy this book without comparing it to Deceased by Tom Taylor. And what Deceased by Tom Taylor does is just from beginning to end was like bang, 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 bang. Like you cannot catch your breath. You don't know who's safe. You don't know who's going to die. You don't know who's going to get turned into a zombie. From issue to issue to issue to issue, the stakes are always high. With this, I felt like it's kind of the same thing that most people complain about James Tynion's writing for. The pacing was just slow. We got a lot of exposition, not a ton of action. The twist in the middle of the book was great, but it just looks like this is going to unfold really slowly, and it's going to be like way different from what Deceased was. I don't know if I care to have this story stretched out over the next year. So that's how I felt about this one. Again, maybe this is suffering because I loved Deceased so much and was expecting this to be more like that. But after first read, my gut rating was like a 6 out of 10. Let's see. Rupert says that's why I didn't pick it up. I feel you. Ben Uncles is here. What's up, K-Squad? What's good, dude? Phil says DC versus Vampires was an awesome. The twist is great, and I love that kill by a minor character. Always hated that character. Word. There is... Wait, which minor character are you talking about? Because the character that I'm thinking of wouldn't be considered minor. Let's see. Oh, yeah. That character was absolutely minor. The fact that character was even in this book was like, dog, what? Like, what? Yeah, I won't spoil it. Maybe I was too hard on this book. Maybe I'll give it a 7. This isn't bad. I just don't know where I am with it in the long run. So yeah. Are we talking spoilers? Nah. I'm gonna try not to talk spoilers because it's only Thursday. A lot of people don't even get to the shop to pick up their books until the weekend. So we can talk full spoilers next week. But this week I'll try to keep it spoiler free. But those are my thoughts on DC versus Vampires. 6.5-ish. And what else have I read so far? Philadelphia 18 got pushed back to next week. I do agree. I love this Marauders cover. I haven't read Robin number 7 yet. The next book that I read was Gunslinger Spawn number 1. Gunslinger Spawn had a bunch of covers, by the way. I think my favorite was this one. It's a connecting cover, but Brett Booth does a good job with these covers. Let's see. Toyamic Displays says, get ready for my book club backdrop. Oh, this is dope. That's dope. So yeah, the book club starts in about 20 minutes, by the way. I'm going to try. What I'm going to try to do is actually go ahead and stream the book club right here. So you won't even have to leave this YouTube video to watch us discuss those books that I talked about. But we'll see how the technology works. We'll see if it works out well. Let's see. DC Vampires may still be a trade pickup if they release one. I wouldn't mind reading this in trade paperback. But I mean, it's a 12-issue series and it's coming out monthly. So it's like literally you're not going to get this trade until at least next Halloween. That's just like, eh. But so yeah, Gunslinger Spawn #1. This was the first of the Spawn's Universe titles that I've read so far. We had Spawn's Universe, which was the one shot. We've had King Spawn. We had like 2 issues of King Spawn. And then we've got Gunslinger Spawn. King Spawn #3 actually came out this week as well. But for whatever reason, I didn't read the other books yet. They're somewhere in my to-read pile. I got to find them. But I read Gunslinger Spawn. I wasn't crazy lost. There were definitely some moments that referenced the Spawn's Universe one-shot. But I wasn't lost. All in all, I mean, there's 4 stories in this issue. The main story might have been like my least favorite, only because Brett Booth does like some really sketchy artwork. And I don't mean sketchy like bad, but I mean like it literally looks like he was sketching with a pen in a lot of scenes. So some of his artwork is harder to follow, in my opinion, than it needs to be. Like if Todd McFarlane was inking Brett Booth, like you get on this cover, then it'd be a whole different story. But that's not the case. And so some of the artwork just isn't as tight as I like to see, especially on a book like Spawn. But I had the same complaint when Brett Booth was doing X-Men Legends and also X-Men. So there's that. Sketchy as in shifty. Not like it's just loose. It's loose artwork. That's what I'll say. It kind of leaves a lot to the colorist to define. Whoever's inking him doesn't really like. I don't know if you've ever seen like Jim Lee pencils versus Scott Williams inks, and Scott Williams really adds a ton to it. I feel like Brett Booth needs like a Scott Williams to really define his art a little bit more, bring it out of the background and so on. But like I said, on this cover where he's inked by McFarlane, it's great. If the interiors were inked by McFarlane, we'd be talking about a whole different book. But anyway, so the Brett Booth main story basically was okay. It was basically Gunslinger Spawn is somehow found his way into the present and is trying to get back to his time period. And he enlists the help of like a young teenager. It's funny enough. I love the voice of Gunslinger Spawn. Like I like the voice in my head is like Clint Eastwood like I've literally never seen a Clint Eastwood movie, so maybe that was a terrible thing. But it's like watching an episode of Gunsmoke or something, where it's like just super country, super western, like Back to the Future 3 is what this reminded me of a lot, which was cool. So you get this one story kind of told in the present, and the other 3 stories are all told in the past, in the Old West, wherever Gunslinger Spawn is from. You get him being super violent and just being dope. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm hoping it's not an anthology for the rest of the series and we just get like one story at a time. I think it could be good. Todd McFarlane's writing is never going to be great. Like there's literally a moment in here where he's like, in this year, the U.S. bought land from Mexico. And then he goes, this plot of land formerly owned by Mexico. And it was like, dog, you said that already. So you gotta get through that. You gotta get through like narration that doesn't necessarily need to be there, but the imagery is always great. And Todd picks great artists to do Spawn work. So Gunslinger Spawn also got like a 7.5 out of 10. I think my favorite story is the one that's drawn by Philip Tan. Great artwork in that issue. So that's Gunslinger Spawn. Spawn 323 didn't come out this week. It comes out next week. Haven't read most of this. All right, last book that I've read so far was this. Batman The Long Halloween Special. And I liked it. So when with Batman being like in the middle of this whole fear state event and all of that, it's kind of easy to get lost in what's going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of dark. Like you got the Scarecrow as the main villain. It's like in this whole horror vein. Wheelchair superhero, yes. Batman, the new Batman Long Halloween is a one shot. So this one shot basically it can honestly be told. It basically takes place the year after the Long Halloween ends. It's Halloween 1 year later. And basically, Calendar Man wants his revenge. Basically, the person who committed all the crimes in the Long Halloween original, Calendar Man wants his revenge against that person because Calendar Man should have been the one to take over like holiday killings or whatever. So it's kidnapped and so on. Or he kidnaps the person. And so it's about Batman trying to figure out how to get this person back and stop Calendar Man or whatever. And Batman has to team up with Harvey Dent in order to do it. And honestly, I enjoyed being back in the Long Halloween, sort of universe. It was a good enough story. The only issue I have with it is that the Long Halloween, it ends in a very specific way. And the Long Halloween kind of tells you who the villain is. And it's kind of, I feel like the way Long Halloween is best read is where it's left up to your interpretation. Like, because Batman doesn't find out who the holiday killer is in the Long Halloween. And this basically tells you in no uncertain terms who the holiday killer was. And I feel like having lost that, having lost like the mystery of, was it this person? Was it that person? Kind of knocks the Long Halloween down a little bit. So I would much rather just ignore the fact that this exists as a reader. Now, if I'm judging it just based on its own story, I mean, it was cool. It was mostly inconsequential. Just the best part about it is returning to Tim Sale on artwork, honestly. I know some people hate Tim Sale artwork, but I really like it. It's so cartoony and so, like, the way I would describe it, it's not even cartoony because cartoons have a very distinct look. Like Tim Sale, Mike Mignola, it's like very stylized, but your eyes kind of process it differently than it actually looks on the page. So let me full screen myself for a second. So this is Tim Sale artwork. It is not your typical, like, if you're looking for like 90s Image Comics, Jim Lee style, super anatomically correct or anatomically exaggerated, you're not getting that here. What's really cool is that we get Batman and Robin. I love the colors. The colors are done by Matt Wagner's son, actually, Brennan Wagner. And I think just like in the original Long Halloween, the colors really add a lot to it. Although I will say, in the original Long Halloween, I felt like the colors were a little bit more muted, and I liked the muted vibe. These colors are a little bit brighter this time around. But just like I liked the art in the Long Halloween, I like it here. I love that Batman is always like the scariest thing in a frame. He's always taking up the most room on a page. And overall, this was a solid one shot. If I'm judging this against the backdrop of like all the other Batman books that are out, this kind of gives it a higher rating because this is more of what I love about Batman. The detective Batman trying to solve a crime, more street level type stuff. I just like this a lot more than Batman taking on Simon Saint and the Magistrate and the Scarecrow. Like, give me Batman versus the Mafia any day. And Calendar Man works just as well. But yeah, so overall, Batman the Long Halloween special, I'd probably give it an 8, right? And my rating scale is a little bit different. So a perfect 10, a 10 would be like the perfect comic book. A 9 would be like the best book I read in any given week. An 8 is a really solid comic book. A 7 is like, it was good, but it had its flaws. A 6 is about the lowest I would ever want to give a rating on a comic book, because if you're 5 or below, you're not worth my time to read. It's how my rating scale goes. But as a seasonal one shot, it was good. It's hard for me to pick up seasonal one shot books. I wish they just make them into an animated show. If they added this to the regular Long Halloween, I don't think it would be as good. Like the regular Long Halloween wouldn't be as good to me. This is cool as like a, 20 years later, let's revisit this because you guys like this creative team. It was fine for what it was. What's the last 10 and 1 you gave a book? Nightwing 78 was the last perfect 10 I gave a book. I haven't given a book a 1. Like I said, if you're below a 5, you're really not worth my time. I feel like I have given a book that rating, but I don't remember which book it was. And that was when I first came up with my rating system. And that was when my daughter was in the hospital. Yeah, it's hard for me to remember. I'd have to go back. Honestly, if it wasn't for the artwork, some of these Spawn books would probably end up in like the 5 and below category. The artwork saves them every time. Every time. So yeah, that's pretty much all I read this week. Still on the to read pile is Detective Comics 1044. Like I said, Philadelphia got moved to next week. I got to catch up on Marauders. The one I'm most excited for is Robin. I'll probably end up liking Robin more than anything else this week. It'd be like, so far, Amazing Spider-Man 77 was really good. The Batman Long Halloween special was really good. I'm expecting Robin to round out my top 3 this week, followed by Gunslinger, then Inferno, believe it or not. And DC vs. Vampires is last at this point. I don't imagine Marauders being worse than DC vs. Vampires, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. C-Rook says, my thoughts are 1 is so bad it's good, 2 is unbearably bad, 3 and 4 are boringly bad, 5 is okay, 6 good, 7 great, 8 is really good, 9 is the highest I've ever given. I feel you. It's not a bad thing. It said 10 will be decided on his deathbed. Sheesh. What's up, Married with Comics says, thanks for, she says, they say, who knows? It could be Laura, could be Scott. It's definitely Laura because Scott works late. What's up, Laura? Thanks for sharing your latest reads. No problem. By the way, I was saying to you guys earlier that this week is like the Halloween Comic Fest. So Marvel put out a bunch of freebies, and some other publishers did too, but mostly Marvel. So you can get this Hawkeye for free. You can get Daredevil, Road to Devil's Reign by Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto. That's free. Although this, I'm pretty sure this is a reused cover. I've seen this cover before. Miles Morales, Spider-Man #1 reprint. Saladin Ahmed. So that's the current Miles Morales series, #1. And then Star Wars High Republic #1. A lot of these I already had the regular issue for, but who's going to say no to a free reprint? Not me. And then let's see. I'm going to show off in the last 5 minutes here. I'm going to show off some things that I bought only for the covers. So first up, I bought, what is this book? Sword #9. This is the Joe Jusko Marvel Masterpieces variant. So This was originally a set of trading cards. They just blown it up to be the cover for a bunch of issues. So I haven't been collecting all of these. Actually, this one and the other one I'm about to show you are the only two that I have so far. That is, this is for Sword number 9, and this is Storm. I love this. This is probably my favorite cover this week that I need to put a bagging board on. I'm tripping. Then this one, my boy Bishop, in his 90s style. Gotta love that. Yeah, I like this one a lot too. It's not better than Storm, but it's still good. Also by Joe Jusco. And then this one, this cover I like a lot. This is the cover to King Spawn number 3. Now this and Spawn 323, also has a similar cover coming out next week. So Spawn 323, the cover C, has the clown as the big guy that they're trick-or-treating with. But right here, we got the ice cream man. So very interesting, very cool. Those are the covers that I liked so far this week. What else did I buy? Oh, I got another variant for King Spawn because I always get them in Froggen variants. Probably didn't need to buy this one this week, but I got it. And let's see. I bought 2 covers of Gunslinger Spawn, but I told you guys I was buying these. I told you guys I was getting these in the What I'm Getting video. I got this connecting cover here because, yeah, I got the connecting cover because I've been getting connecting covers for the other ones. And then this cover A because I like Brett Booth and Todd McFarlane together. Yo, I'm literally just now noticing this cover A is a wraparound cover. I didn't even notice that. I'm glad I bought this one. I like this a lot. Yes, C. Rook, it is 100% copyright safe because there was no logo infringement, which is why that cover is so dope. Like they can get away with that. And then this one, I wasn't even going to buy, but I bought the entire Batman Fortnite series, and so they put this in my box. I really only kept it because it's got a Greg Capullo cover. So Greg Capullo drawing the Batman Who Laughs and Batman, and whoever this guy is that I'm assuming is from Fortnite is the reason I bought this book. It does come with the Fortnite code, so I'm probably going to give this one to my brother-in-law, or at least the code. I'll give him the code. I'm going to keep the book, though. So, yeah. That is that's what I read this week. That's what I bought just for the covers, and yeah, that's how it's going. So let me put this little overlay back on because I don't like just the naked background. What do I have left? What's next in my to read pile? So, like I said, somehow I'd never read Batman 115 last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago. No, last week is when it came out. So I got to read this. Honestly, Fear State has just not been really hitting for me like I thought it would. But the action should be picking up because we're getting closer and closer to the end. There's only 3 issues left until James Tynion's off the book. Nubia and the Amazons. Obviously, this book's got its own controversy, being that there's apparently the first trans Amazonian appears in this issue, although they don't reference it in the issue. But yeah, so Nubia and the Amazons I want to read next. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my to read pile outside of like trades and whatnot. So Skip says, all right, I'm back. I got off work early. What's up? What's up, chat? What's hilarious is this part of the stream is pretty much done, but we're about to do the K-Squad book club. I'm going to try to broadcast that live as well. So I'm not even going to end this broadcast. I'm going to add it to this stream. But basically, we're going to be reviewing Something's Killing the Children, Volume 1, Philadelphia Volume 1, and Lock and Key Volume 1. How do I get in here? I'm going to join the room. So give me a second. Something went wrong. Try restart it. Oh, is it not going to? Give me a second. We'll fix this. I'm just going to use a different browser. How about that? Boom, boom, boom. So you guys get to watch me do like, you know, stupid technical difficulty stuff. Facebook wants to confirm that I'm me. If I wasn't me, I would have said so. Yes, this was me that tried to log in from my computer. Yes, save that one. Yeah, we're going to see how this goes. C-Rook says, I'm sure the LGBT representation of that issue will go down great with the Comicsgate crowd. Probably not, but I don't care because I'm not in the Comicsgate crowd. Let's see. Okay, dope. I haven't read any of those. I'll listen to learn. Maybe join the next book club. Been wanting to join one. Yeah, man, the book club is dope, and they always pick really cool stuff to read. I can't take any credit for the book club. That is all the homie Seth from the K Squad who does that, and he's got like a wheel of suggestions. I don't know how they came up with these Halloween books, but anyway, let's see if I can join the room. Use camera and microphone. Let's decide. Is it gonna let me? Something went wrong. Dang. Settings. I'm gonna reload it. It might not let me broadcast. I might have to start the broadcast later. Let's see. OBS virtual camera. Okay. Okay, cool. We're here. It let me in the room. So let me join. All right. I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. So give me a second. I'm gonna try to broadcast this room into the thing, the StreamYard. And then StreamYard, if you guys are still watching on YouTube, let me know if you can see it or if you can still hear me. Okay, cool. Skip says they can still hear me. So I'm going to stop the screen share for the other thing. And I'm going to share something else.
A little bit of delay.
There's a delay? Okay.
Between the live stream and this.
That makes sense. I think there's like a 10-second delay. So you guys don't have to watch on YouTube because you're in the thing here. But now.
So is it broadcasting already or is it?
I'm broadcasting now.
What's up?
So streaming can hear but not see. Now they can see. Okay, cool.
There we go.
So let me fix up these overlays and whatnot. Whoops, I don't like that. I don't like that either. Where are we at? Boom. Boom. So now we are live. I probably should have made this a separate video, but no worries. We are live. This is the K Squad Book Club.
Hello, everyone.
So we are. Oh dang! When I do this, it like covers up your face, Seth. My bad. But basically, we do this every single month, and I've been absent for like the last 2 months. So my bad, guys. But Seth here is the president of our book club inside the K Squad, and he always does a great job.
Thanks.
You know, not to just toot his horn for him and whatnot, but he does a great job. Like just, oh wait, what did I do? Why is it now? Dang. I was trying to, okay, I guess I got to fit it in this little window then. I was trying to make you guys look a little bit different on the stream, but oh well. Yes, there are 2 of me. I guess I can take myself off of the screen on my side, maybe. Let's see. All right, cool. Now I don't see me on there. Perfect. So now, dang, technical difficulties. But anyway, so this is the book club. Every month we pick a book to read. We read it and then we discuss it. This is the first time I've ever tried to even broadcast our book club live for the rest of the internet to see. Ever since I started doing the hangout, it was like, well, that's going to conflict with book club when book club comes. And I was like, well, maybe we can broadcast book club and kill two birds with one stone. So here's the experiment. Who knows if we'll do it again? But from here, I will let Seth take over.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'll have the live stream up as well. So if anybody wants to post a question there, this way we can kind of go both ways. But usually the way this goes is we kind of go around. Everybody kind of shares what they liked about the books. So for this month, we did a horror edition. So we did Something's Killing the Children, Volume 1. We did Philadelphia, Volume 1. And then we did Lock and Key, Volume 1. I don't have that one physically, but we did that. I read it digitally. So yeah, I think we'll kick it off maybe with, we could start with Lock and Key. You know, typically how this goes, everybody kind of shares their initial thoughts, impressions. You know, who wants to kick us off?
I'll start us off, man. Or go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. I was just saying what's up to Rob.
Okay. I read Lock and Key last night. It was great. I really liked it. I haven't watched the show yet. Haven't attempted to watch it. I actually watched the first episode and decided that I was going to wait till I read the rest of it. But I read Volume 1. I really liked it. It's a great book. I mean, the art's amazing. The story's great. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will tell you that I finished reading it and I went and bought the compendium. So I'm going to read the rest of it.
Nice.
All right. Other thoughts on Lock and Key? How'd you like the art in it?
Yeah, agreed.
The art was amazing. I mean, you're gonna see a lot of blood in this. It's pretty gory. It's graphic. It's disturbing at times, but that's kind of what you expect out of a horror book. Don't expect that same thing in the show because you're not going to get it.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of people that have read the book are disappointed with the show, but you got to understand that Netflix can only go so far.
So I think my favorite thing about it, and I talked to Rob about this earlier, is that I love that like the possibilities are endless. You know, every key, every door, like they can each have a certain power, and like just not knowing where this could all go, and like I said, the endless possibilities really makes you want to keep reading. And as far as the Netflix thing, I also said this before, is like, you know, if it's not broken, like don't fix it. And I feel like, you know, this was a great book. I feel like they could have gone scene for scene, panel for panel, and it would have been a lot better. I feel like they don't do that enough, and I'm not really sure why.
Mary with Comics agrees with you. They say the Netflix series is a lot lighter than the book, and the comic is so much better.
That's typically the case with shows, right? Usually the book is better. Isn't that a T-shirt nowadays?
I think so.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why Shannon's not showing his face, he's a truck driver. You trucking nerd, check him out on YouTube. He's driving right now.
Just posted.
Okay. So I know with Lock and Key, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities where it could go. How did y'all feel on the main characters that they had in it so far? Do they need to introduce more characters? I mean, obviously, you know, there's more story to come, but based on what you've read so far, would you think the characters in it were enough, or do you think they need more?
I think you may be able to get through a couple volumes and maybe some more.
So I'm gonna back it up since we're on YouTube. Some people haven't read Lock and Key. Can somebody give a TLDR, like what is Lock and Key about? You don't have to spoil anything necessarily, although it's a book club, so we're going to talk spoilers at some point. But yeah, for those who haven't read Lock and Key, what's it about?
Yeah, Trey, you want to let us know? You really liked it.
Sure. Yeah, I really liked it. So basically, there's a family. and a father, a mother, 2 sons and a daughter, and spoiler, but the dad dies in the beginning, and that starts out the whole thing. But he dies very brutally. He's murdered in their house, very brutally murdered, shot directly in the face. So the son has to defend against the murderer, and there's a bunch of trauma. I don't want to spoil it too much, but they end up moving with his brother into a house in Massachusetts called Lock House. It's well, they're the Locke family, so it's called Key House. Sorry, but in that there's some spooky stuff going on, and the house is full of all these keys, and the keys will let children do certain things. And I only really explain one. The little boy Bodie, he takes a key, he goes through the door. He steps through the door, his body falls to the floor, and his spirit goes out, and he's outside of his body. So technically he's floating around as a ghost, and his body's dead on the floor. But if he goes back through that door, he goes back into his body. So some pretty strange things going on there, but it's pretty cool to see what happens there. But I really suggest reading it.
Awesome. So the other book we read, and we'll get back to Lock and Key, is Philadelphia. Brandon, I know you did a whole video on that, so if anyone hasn't seen that, be sure to check it out. But Brandon, you want to give kind of a quick synopsis on that one?
Sure. So Philadelphia, Volume 1, we're following this kid. I shouldn't call him a kid. He's a young adult detective, or he's a police officer, Jim Sangster. And basically, he's a police officer in Baltimore who travels to his native Philadelphia to bury his father. And his father did not have a great relationship. His father was like a revered detective. So he decides he's kind of going through some of his father's things, and he finds his father's journal. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to do what you couldn't. I'm going to solve your last case. And basically, as he's investigating this case, he learns this secret that there are vampires in Philadelphia. And he learns, in fact, that his father isn't dead, but he's one of the vampires. So he digs his father up. And so then his father, he, and the chief medical examiner for the city basically all team up to try to, obviously solve more of this mystery, figure out who's behind these, did I say vampires? Yeah, they're vampires. Behind this vampire uprising in Philadelphia, and hopefully put an end to it. So that's the gist of Philadelphia.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'll give a quick synopsis on Something's Killing the Children. So that is written by James Tynan IV. It's made by Boom Studios, and basically the premise for that one is a young boy, I believe his name is James. Him and his friends right at the beginning are attacked by monsters, and then shortly afterwards he's introduced to a monster hunter named Erica Slaughter, and it's basically the story of their interaction and kind of his journey, so to speak, on kind of helping her get back at the monsters that essentially hurt his friends. And all of this is basically happening in a small town. I think it's called Archer's Peak. So that one's really good. But yeah, so now that we've kind of done a little synopsis on the books, I think if anyone wants to kind of kick us off on, how did y'all like all these stories overall? I mean, considering they were independent, I feel like they got to take a lot more liberties with kind of the content, some of the gruesomeness and the stories themselves. How did y'all feel about that?
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm gonna jump on and say I was not anticipating liking Philadelphia as much as I did. First flip through of the first couple pages was a more realistic stylized art, and that kind of loses me sometimes because I like some other styles a little bit better. But it really helps the way the story develops and some of the effects that happen with the vampires and like the abilities and the way they look that really benefits from that earlier style. So, I mean, if you can get through the first, I think, 3 issues, which I felt were a little slow because I wasn't looking forward to it, but as soon as I got that turning point, I really liked it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I bought volume 2 as soon as I read volume 1 of Philadelphia. I guess one of my big things I'd like to know is Shannon. Shannon, you're from Philadelphia. What do you think about Philadelphia?
So I was delighted that a book was based in my hometown. I was looking for some familiar stuff. I didn't really see anything, but that's neither here nor there. I'll be honest. I read the description at first, and I saw that apparently, John Adams was the big bad, and almost automatically I was like, oh no, like what am I in for? Like it's just going to be, that just sounds, I'm not going to lie, it sounded kind of stupid. So, but I read on, and I had to push through it a little bit, just like Rob said at the beginning. It does start to pick up. I really like John Adams' wife. I'm excited to see where she takes everything. The art, same thing. It didn't grab me at first. I do like hyper-realistic art sometimes, but it really does start to pop off, and you get a little acclimated to it. But overall, I thought the story was good. I'm not a vampire freak or anything, but I definitely I've read quite a couple of vampire stories, so it wasn't. Look, all 3 of these books are pretty good.
Yes.
But I do think this one was probably the weakest out of the 3. But I did like it. So, I mean, take it with a grain of sand. Or
Salt.
Salt. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So I see Tony's joined us. Tony, how are you doing?
Tony.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We're sharing our preliminary thoughts on all the books we read. You wanna include your opinion in here?
Yeah, I mean, are we starting with any particular title, or are we going with all?
You could go with this one's a free for all.
All right, cool. I like free for all. If it's free, it's for me. Philadelphia, I think that's what Shannon was just talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on a train, so I don't know if I don't know if my mask is like killing my voice here, but
We can hear you.
all right, cool. So Philadelphia, I can't even say that I have like a favorite out of the 3 books, because I thought they were all freaking home runs. I couldn't put them down. Like I literally, I know it's supposed to read volume 1. I read every single issue of both Something is Killing the Children and Philadelphia. To be honest, I forget what the 3rd one was. What was it?
Lock and Key.
Oh yeah, no, I had already read that, so I didn't go back to it. But Lock and Key was actually one of my favorites. I've actually got a few autographed copies of that book. But yeah, so I mean, like, I'm just gonna stick to Something is Killing the Children in Philadelphia, because those are the 2 that like blew me away. Indian is amazing. Pretty much everything that he's writing right now is like top of my list. And Something is Killing the Children is something that flew under my radar, and I'm kind of mad about that. Great characters. The House of Slaughter, like, just dropped this week. I haven't read that yet, but it's going to continue the story. I talked to Tinian at New York Comic Con. He said that Something is Killing the Children will be coming back after House of Slaughter concludes. So it's not over. So that's good. That's kind of upset.
This is this week's stack.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I got the.
I don't have any of the Something Is Killing the Children, but in singles. But I did have to pick up this, start out with House of Slaughter and see what it's like. I usually don't, if I start a series in trades or deluxe or something, I'm going to stick to it. But I'm going to try to read this one and see if I really like it. And I might pick it up in singles and pick up the trade later and just be able to read it. But I liked all three books. I loved the art in all of them. I love the storytelling in all of them. I've read a lot of stuff from Tinian, and that's always great. But this is my first time for Rodney Barnes book and a Joe Hill book, and I was pleasantly surprised with both, and really enjoyed it. I tagged Rodney in a Instagram post I made, and he actually commented. So love interacting with creators and ones that'll talk to you as well, because they're just people like us, And so really enjoyed them all three, and can't wait to read more of these series, and I hope they just keep going with it.
So speaking of spin-off series, also out this week was Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog #1.
Yup.
Nita Hawes is James Sangster's ex-girlfriend, we find out in issue #1. So I think that's going to go for a little while before Philadelphia comes back. But it's taking place in Baltimore. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check that out. Like I said, it's out this week. So you can definitely grab it. It was at Ultimate when I went yesterday. I decided not to pick it up because I decided not to continue Philadelphia. Although I loved Philadelphia. Funny, you guys were talking about how the art kind of took you out of the story for a little bit. You had to kind of push through. I felt like the art from Jason Sean Alexander in Philadelphia really fit the story well. Whereas I first heard of JSA from Spawn. I was collecting Spawn around issue 300 or so. And I remember like not being able to really get into Spawn because I didn't like that art style in Spawn. And once he replaced him with Carlo Barberi, it kind of took off for me. Like I enjoyed reading it more. But Jason Sean Alexander in Philadelphia was awesome. Like I loved it from front to back. And I especially like seeing how the process comes together. He uses like photo models, kind of like Alex Ross does. And at this point I'm retreading my video from last week, but I really like the artwork in Philadelphia. But I just thought it was interesting how an artist's style may work for one book, but not another, in my opinion.
Yeah. James Sangster Sr., the model that he uses for that character is Phil Morris, who you might know from Smallville if you ever watched it. He played Martian Manhunter.
Wow, that's what's up.
You don't. I think Jason Sean Alexander. I haven't had a favorite artist. Like I haven't used the term. I have a favorite artist, and he's blah blah blah. Like since the '90s, it's like I'm generally like, oh, art is dope, and everybody is. That Jason Sean Alexander just brought me back to that feeling that I had when I had a favorite artist with this book. I hadn't seen any of this stuff before because I didn't collect Spawn and I missed his book. I can't remember the name, but his work on this book is just like I'm going to use the word transcendent. I thought it was just dope. Like it fit every panel fit. You got that real like grunge, like dirty feeling from each panel, and it's a dirty book. Like I mean, we're talking vampires and Rodney Barnes doesn't really shy away from getting bloody and messy and dirty and
to hit them,
and the artwork that reflects that is perfect.
And to kind of bounce off of that, you know how I love Tommy Lee Edwards. We've read some of his books in book club, and this has a very similar art style. It's rough, but it gets the point across, and it's very gritty, and it keeps you in that gritty mindset for and bloody mindset of what's going to come next. It's going to go down soon.
A Couple of comments from YouTube. My man Skip says he loved the art in Philadelphia, even though he's only read the first issue so far. But he did grab the Nita Hawes book. And then Laura wants to know if any of you guys were able to get that deluxe slipcover for Something's Killing the Children.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I was
I was
not.
able to get it.
You were? Nice.
I was, yeah. I pre-ordered it a long time ago. I'm not the biggest into deluxe editions, but for this one, I made the exception. So I heard it was going to be delayed, but I was pleasantly surprised when I got home one day last week. It was just there at my doorstep. So.
Yeah, the regular deluxe edition got delayed. The one without the slipcase. What happened with the slipcase was it got shorted. Like Boom didn't print enough to go with all the pre-orders, everything the retailers ordered. So like my local shop ordered 5 copies and they only received 1. Some of the other stores ordered like 30 and only received 5. OPB ordered, I guess I should mention they are our channel sponsor. So shop at Organic Price Books. Use the code BJKicks. You'll save $2 on your order. But OPB ordered 1,000 copies of the slipcase and only received 400. So they were able to cover their pre-orders, but they didn't get anything extra to sell. So if you have that slipcase, it's already worth double. And if you just want to read the story, it might be worth flipping, sell it to somebody on Facebook, somebody that might want a little bit more or whatever, and then just wait for that non-slipcase edition to come out in a couple of months.
Yeah, I did order my slipcase from OPB, and yeah, the amount of packaging was pretty insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, man, I could just jump in the box and be secure.
They do it right.
Yeah, they definitely do a good job. So, all these stories, kind of cover different elements. Somebody's killing children in Philadelphia, kind of focused more on the monsters. Lock and Key's more paranormal. Which do you all typically skew to when it comes to maybe a horror title? Brandon, I know you're not the biggest horror guy. I know you're not biggest on paranormal.
Right.
But for the rest of y'all, which way do y'all typically lean when it comes to books like this? Because I feel like monster books, for me, have typically been some of the more exciting ones, just because I think it allows the artist to kind of get creative with what they can make. And I think for both of these books, I think the art on the monsters or the vampires was just phenomenal.
I'm not much of a monsters guy, but I really enjoyed these. It kind of took me out of my comfort zone and tried something new. Made me bust out my Blade figure and play with that. So especially for Philadelphia, but it's nice to try something different and expand outside of the normal things I read, and I really enjoyed them, and I'm continuing with the series. So
for me, honestly, as long as it's done right, the sky is the limit. I'm down for any of it, and that's not just horror, but like any genre in particular. But I'll tell you, nothing really beats originality. If you can, give me a new aspect of horror, something maybe I'd never considered before, I'll be glued to it if it's some good writing. So, but as far as like horror in general, I feel like for me at least, it takes a lot for me to not enjoy a horror book, whether it's just too boring or it's a little cryptic or whatever. It's horror is an easy read for me almost every time. So, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to enjoy myself and keep it easy. Once a book starts getting a little too difficult or it's just a little too cryptic, I'm out. I check out right away. That's why I gave up on Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol three-quarters of the way through that whale of the book. So that's just my take.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it actually applies in this group of books. I mean, I think these books. There's a difference for me between like horror and what I would call like supernatural adventure, right? And I think Philadelphia falls into the realm of horror because because there are horrific things happening, and I think that's essential for something to be called a horror story, where Lock and Key was more upbeat, more fun. Even though obviously that story revolves around some tragic events.
It was suspenseful.
Right, right. But I didn't think that there was much. Children, you know, it's they're hunting monsters, and you know, Erica Slaughter is a badass, and she kills monsters, and you know, she has this like the House of Slaughter that is behind her, helping her out, and she's like kind of like this like rogue operative from that group, and kind of walking that line. So it's not, again, I didn't feel like it was horrific. It was just like, it kept me on the edge of my seat. I wanted more, and it just kept me coming back. Where the Philadelphia book, I mean, like vampires were just, I was starting to hate vampires, to be honest with you. I was starting to not want anything to do with vampires, and this just brought it back to me. Like, it was just such a cool twist on, like, John Quincy Adams. What?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? And like the whole thing is like he's coming back to like try to fix what he fucked up when they founded the country. Like, it's like this. It was just fucking brilliant. Like everything about it. It addressed race issues without being overtly about race. It was just brilliant. Absolutely perfect.
Word. I will say this, right? Because, and I guess I kind of make it known that I'm not a big horror guy, right? Like, when it comes to movies, I don't watch horror movies, and I think a lot of what I don't like about horror movies is like they kind of exist just to scare you, and it's like a lot of times they don't necessarily rely on a good story to do so. It's like, because when you go to the theater, there's the music, there's the loud crash, they can make the graphics like super gory and stuff like that, to where it's like you don't necessarily even want to look at what's on the screen, right? One thing that I feel like I'm excited about, because I mean, Philadelphia is my first like technically horror comic, and then Something's Killing the Children will be my second when I read it. But I like that the comic medium still makes you forces you to put the story at the forefront. So it can't rely on all those other elements. And it just happens that all those other elements are part of the reason I fully avoid horror, period. So I love that Philadelphia, is straight up basically like, your normal police detective story, just with a monster twist. I thought that was dope. Between that and then, like, all the family elements that are there, and how that goes. But yeah, so that kind of opened my mind a little bit. Like, I might dig into more horror comics within reason. I still have my red lines. Like, I don't do like a lot of like, sex in comics or whatever. Like, if it serves the story, cool. But if it's just like we're just being gratuitous, it's like, I have a wife, I got kids, like, we're good. But beyond that, like, I'm down to see where a lot of these stories go. And that's not something I would have even ventured into prior to reading this book. And Trey says, what's up to the YouTube, Scott?
I was going to say, so I already know the answer, but I was going to ask Rob what he thought of Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah, so Something is Killing the Children, I heard all the hype and I got into it, and it didn't pack the punch for me that I think it does for a lot of people. I mean, it's a good story. I really like the character, Erica Slaughter. I mean, it's easy to like her. She's got the attitude. She's got the cool moves and everything. I was a little disappointed in like the reveal of what is killing the children at this far into the story. So I haven't read past the first volume yet because I wanted to see how this book club went. But I do have 2 more volumes that I purchased, and I intend to read through them. And I'm sure my opinion will change. But it wasn't as impressive as I thought the hype was for it. but I do like the art, except for the creature design, which is something we touched on earlier, was monster stories versus supernatural. And I do love the creative monsters, but I feel like you get better stories with the supernatural, maybe some body horror kind of stuff. But I like the weird and supernatural stuff. But I still like it. I'm gonna go and finish out some of his Killing Children. But I think I surprisingly would probably go back and read Philadelphia more first.
So I know a lot of y'all read Grindle, Kentucky when we did book club. Something is killing the children. You do see what the monster looks like, and hang in there. Volume 2, Volume 3 do get better. I saw a lot of similarities in the monster type from that versus Grindle, Kentucky, and y'all know how much I love that book. So I think hang in there. You'll like Volume 2 and Volume 3. Some cool things happen, and it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good, fast-paced, almost action comic it's got a lot of those good tropes for a quick, easy read, in my opinion. And then there's something to be said for that. Wasn't exactly the depth that I was looking for, but it is good in its own regard.
So how did y'all feel overall about the 3 distinct worlds that are essentially existing in Lock and Key, Philadelphia, and Something's Killing the Children? I feel like for me personally, Philadelphia, obviously, it just felt more lived in. I think the art helped with that. But overall, which world did you all kind of get most excited about, story aside?
Probably like I said, the endless of possibilities. Of like what each key could do and stuff like that. It definitely is like, man, I just want to see whatever key can do. And I feel like they can just keep that going. Like it could be endless. So
There's something to be said. Sorry, I'm just saying there's something to be said for like the collecting factor of like gathering keys and finding new abilities and things like that plays into that whole endless possibilities.
Right.
I'd love to see Lock and Key go in a crossover of some kind, and you walk through a door and all of a sudden you're in a different comic, like you're in a different reality, or you're the kid reads something or a story, and then they spin off of that. Like you said, there's plenty of possibilities, and why not try to interconnect them?
Yeah, Lock and Key is like the world that I want to live in. Something is Killing the Children is the world that could be, but Philadelphia still feels like the world that we live in. You know what I mean? With vampires. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you're right. They're all very distinct from one another. But Lock and Key definitely excited me more because, like Shannon said, it's like the endless possibilities, like what each key does, and there are more keys out there. So you can make keys according to the show. It's really cool. I don't know if you guys are watching the show on Netflix. I just finished season 2, and it's freaking great.
That's good. I haven't seen it yet, but let's talk more about Lock and Key. So, if you could have a key that could do anything, what key or what would you have it access to?
3 comics and action figures.
Key of Flight.
Key of Flight. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But I take the head key.
The which one?
The head key.
Oh, nice.
Because I just want to know shit, I just want to know everything.
You just throw all your comic books in your head. Not only store them there, but also know every little detail about them.
I would throw every instructional art book in my head.
Oh, true.
There you go.
Doug says, for those who are wanting the Lock and Key crossover, he said, I think Lock and Key did a crossover with Sandman.
I'll have to check that out.
And
awesome.
And
Wow. I think my favorite key would be. I think I said this before. I think we were talking about what power would you have, but it remains the same. I wish I had a key that could help you teleport. It would make my job a lot easier.
That's awesome. So out of all three of these stories, they all have very different characters. Which of them had a character that you felt, was complex in terms of maybe you weren't the biggest fan of them at the end, or you ended up liking them a lot more, once you got through the story more?
I mean, I
Which
said
one?
how I thought the John Adams thing was kind of stupid, and like as I read it, that kind of changed my mind. So I feel like that kind of answers your question. He was
John
a good
Adams?
character. John Quincy Adams, yeah.
Well, on that note, I was intrigued a lot by Seesaw from Philadelphia.
Yes.
I thought he was a pretty cool character, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops.
Seesaw was Tevin's like alias, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Seesaw a lot. That's kind of the one thing I'm like mad that I like decided to drop the title, because like I want to see more of Seesaw. And I know he's gonna have like more shining moments as the series goes on.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of wish you didn't drop the title, man, because
Pick up the trade, volume 2. I got it, and when 3 comes out, I'll end up getting it. I haven't read this one yet, but it's in the stack to read, which is very big. But yeah, I really like the characters, and kind of cool to see who else they're gonna make into a vampire. They're gonna get in a bad situation, and one of the humans be like, "Hey, just turn me so I can live through this," or see who makes that choice.
Real quick, Laura just popped in to say, make sure to finish all of Lock and Key before you read Lock and Key Sandman. You need to fully understand one to follow the other.
this is true.
So that's a good question for Laura. Is do you have to know anything about the Sandman world to enjoy it? And
I'll wait for her to respond, because there's like a 10-second delay on from this to YouTube. By the way, Seth's internet dropped off, so he'll be back shortly. But yeah, so again, my thing is I don't really do like sex in media, right? So whether it's movies or TV or whatever. So that's what made me drop Philadelphia, right? There was only like 2 pages in volume 1, so it wasn't bad in my opinion. But Laura told me it gets worse like in volume 2 and onwards. So I don't know if y'all tell me like what pages to skip or whatever, we can private message so I can kind of keep the story going. Because I felt like the story beyond that was great.
So the sex, like, or sexy bits in the book,
Mm-hmm.
I think you had mentioned earlier, like, you don't like to see that unless it has a place or purpose in the story.
Right.
And this kind of does, like, I mean, like, because you're dealing with vampires, right? Which is, they've always been that sexy, Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Got you. And see, because I don't do horror, I wasn't familiar with that aspect of vampire lore. So it just kind of shocked me when it happened in the story.
Yeah, so like just a quick background on it. Like, so like all the way back to Bela Lugosi, like I said, like vampires have always had like this like quality or power or ability where they could like hypnotize or mesmerize,
seduce people, really.
Yeah, and seduce people into allowing them to get close enough to bite their necks, because the way that they kill people and the way that they turn people is a very intimate thing. Like, it's like you got to get close to them, and you have to like so you have a lot of different iterations of vampires where like you have like the more ferocious, like just feral, like they just leap at you and bite your neck because they're like fast enough to do it or whatever. But that kind of veers away from the original vampire that is the seductive, sexual being that is able to draw those people in and get close enough to them to take their blood.
Got you. So it's just that's hilarious that I'm just realizing that I've been seeing like a watered down version of vampirism for like all of my life. Like maybe the most exotic I could think of might have been Blade, but even Blade I don't really remember like that. The only thing that really comes to mind is the Disney Channel movie Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, which is hilarious.
Check out Lost Boys.
Yes, the Lost Boys.
There's a movie with Tom Cruise, and I can't remember the name of it. It escapes me. Interview with a Vampire. If you're really wanting a vampire movie, Lost Boys and Interview with a Vampire are two of the greats.
Oh, don't forget about Fright Night.
Fright Night, Bram Stoker's Dracula was
Yes.
fantastic. I'm a vampire nut, man, and the whole shift since Twilight has been excruciating to me, which is why I'm so stoked about Philadelphia. Trying to bring things back to a more classic take on the genre.
Right. Tap in Jeep just checked in from India. Wanted to know which comics we were talking about currently. We've been kind of bouncing around. We're talking about Philadelphia, Lock and Key, and Something's Killing the Children. Kind of giving our thoughts on all three at the same time. Laura came back with the follow-up, says she started with issue 1 and realized she missed the spin-off Lock and Key series, so she stopped. Said for now, you just have to have a general idea of Sandman and Death. But they did release the 0 issue for Lock and Key Sandman that gave the information you need from Sandman, at least so far. So if you're trying to understand the Sandman universe so that you can read the Lock and Key spinoff, it sounds like they've got the supplemental materials in there to do so. You won't have to just go in and read all of Sandman in order to get it.
Cool. Thank you, Laura.
And a comic book novice says Underworld is a dope vampire movie.
I haven't seen that one in a while.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, it's one of those like supernatural adventure type stories.
And a very well cast movie too.
Yes.
Y'all don't sleep on The Little Vampire, though. That's still my favorite vampire movie.
Never seen it.
So now that we've kind of talked, a little bit about all three stories, obviously the writers have done different stories as well. What other works do you all like from either the writer or the artist? Anyone who's basically worked on any of the books that we have here.
I love Tynion's Batman run. The things that are going on now. There's a little bit of slowness with some of it, but it's still great. I'm enjoying it. I hate that he's fallen off, but I know he's probably got bigger and better things to go on for his personal endeavors. So hopefully, looking forward to seeing that.
Listen, everything Tynion touches turns into an option TV series. I would have left DC too.
Yeah.
So
The Nice House on the Lake from Tynion is just it's dope. It's real dope. I don't know if you're reading it.
Yeah, are any of you reading that one?
Laura is all about like Nice House on the Lake. I kind of missed that boat. Let's see. And then as far as Tynion is concerned, I've been digging into his Detective Comics run. Really like that. I mean, it's more so focused on the Bat family than this Batman title is, but I love the Bat family. And it's been great so far. I'm about like 15 issues in. I love it.
So I don't know if you guys are aware, but Joe Hill has something going on with I don't know if it's
Take that up.
or I forget what publisher, but it's called Hill House Productions, I think.
Mm.
And it's like
DC.
different teams. Yeah, okay. So different teams of writers are doing all these different horror stories, but all these books are connected by another series that is like you get each issue at the end of each book. So I have 2 of the books right now. I haven't read them yet, but I mean, Joe Hill just seems like one of those writers that, if his name's on it, you might want to get it.
Yeah, Joe Hill. The thing that I've read outside of outside of Lock and Key is it's not a comic. It's a novel called Heart Shaped Box. And it's really good. It's scary. I don't really find novels when I'm reading them. I don't find them to be scary. He's a really good way of being so descriptive that you can put the image in your head. Stephen King is probably the only other person that's been able to do that, but it hasn't nothing that he wrote. Like I was never really frightened by his books because again, his books were more supernatural adventure where I think, well, the ones that I've read anyway, but Joe Hill, he's Stephen King's son. I'm sure you guys know that, right?
That's news to me.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, he's Stephen King's son. He chose the name Joe Hill so that people wouldn't just buy his shit because he's Stephen King's kid.
Okay.
Even though it's so widely known that he's Stephen King's kid, so it clearly happens anyway.
Yeah. Well, now, yeah, for sure. The Heart Shaped Box, man, it's definitely it's pretty terrifying. It's a really good book. So I recommend it if you guys are into that kind of thing.
So on the Joe Hill tip, Skip and Tosh on YouTube says, nice house on the lake is solid. There are plenty of reprints in all the stores in his area. He's in Northern California. Says you could probably find them all. It's a really good mystery thriller. And then Tapin Jeet from India says, by the way, would you guys recommend Lock and Key to a new comic reader? He has seen the show.
Absolutely. Yes.
100%.
I saw the show first, and I was dreading reading Lock and Key, and so much better than the show.
Wow.
Yes.
That's what's up. I know my wife watched Lock and Key, the show. She watched that and Umbrella Academy. I might have to get her this book because I know she would like it if she liked the show that much.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to be a little bit more graphic and I think direct than the show.
Mm-hmm.
Show has like a little bit of a Disney sprinkle on it.
Yeah. That's politely a polite way to say that.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm interested in. I'm looking forward to reading the compendium when it gets here. It might jump the stack just because I enjoyed it that much, and it's going to be a lot to read, but we'll get through it. And also, I can't wait to read that.
Oh, Reckless, Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah, Brubaker's great. So that's probably the thing that's jumping the stack next for me is Destroy All Monsters.
Word. I told Skip this, but next year I'm basically doing an epic X-Men read through. Like I'm starting with Uncanny Volume 1, and I will finish with Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender. And I basically have like every omnibus spanning that. What's that? Like a 20-year time period. So that's what I'm gonna be doing all of 2022. But like if I finish an X-Men Omni in that month, then what I'll be doing is kind of moving over to the Criminal. I'll be reading Criminal like in between those as like a palate cleanser. So I don't know. There's 4 volumes. I mean, there's 4 volumes, including the Cruel Summer stuff, those deluxe hardcovers, and chances are I'll end up with all those Reckless books toward the end of the year too. So it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun.
Worth it. I still have to read Criminal, but I read all the Reckless stuff and love it.
Word.
That's awesome. I think going back to recommending a book, I think with all of these, I feel like they all have such unique enough stories that I feel confident handing any one of these to a non-comic book reader and saying, hey, here's something that might interest you. So yeah, that's one thing I definitely feel about all of them. I think they all do a really good job of being very accessible without, making anyone feel overwhelmed by it.
Well, I will say that Philadelphia is like a little daunting at first. Like I said, for me, I feel like some of the people looking for a little bit more flashy, action grabbing kind of story, I would probably hand them something that's killing the children first, and then some more seasoned reader or someone a little more intellectual, I'd probably give them Philadelphia.
I felt like Philadelphia,
Yeah.
what drew me into it was more of like the whole father son thing and just how much Sangster Senior reminded me of like relatives of mine. And so like by the time I was done being all emotionally invested in that way, the story had grabbed me.
Yeah. Nice.
And the character development in that is great. It's I love that aspect of the book.
Yeah, and I don't want to be.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, you
We
took
lost you there.
you took your headphones out. We can't hear you anymore.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Go. All right. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I mean, like, there's something to be said about the way that they handle the Black experience in that book as well. And so I do think I don't think that it's written. I don't think that it's written in a way where I would say like, oh, this is for Black people. But I would say that if you are, a person of color, you're probably going to get a different angle from the book. There might be a little something extra in there for you.
Speaks a little louder.
Right.
Right. Just stuff that you may have experienced in your life, or just like maybe just a turn of phrase, or even just the father-son relationship and shit like that. Like, it's just stuff that I picked up on that resonated with me, that I just felt like, oh wow, that's really it's really personal.
Yeah. I would say in that way, I think the first time we did a book club, we talked about excellence, right? And I was telling you guys that like obviously excellence was a good story. If you could get behind, you can get past some of like the racially charged language, because it is a book by like not all Black, and all like people of color creative team. And so you get some N-words and some language or whatever. But beyond that, it was just a very dope story. Like, it was almost like Dragon Ball Z meets like Harry Potter or something to me. But then with like this added layer of like family drama and so on. But there were a lot of moments in excellence that kind of stuck out to me as a Black man, right? Like the dude, like getting his hairline right from his barber, and his grandmother, like, yo, blah, blah, blah. So like there's moments like that in Philadelphia as well, where it's like, if you grew up with a certain experience, you'll just appreciate the fact that it's there. It doesn't make the story at all. It's not like something that, it's not like they went out to overtly do it. Whereas in excellence, you very much get the sense from the creators that it's like, okay, well, this is a book for Black people. And then if you enjoy it, great too. It's good enough for you to enjoy. With Philadelphia, it definitely is a lot more subtle. And it's just like, oh, I'm included in this too. Like this, it's like inside jokes almost.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly the point that I was making.
Yeah, and I think a shameless plug here. I think that's one of the benefits to, the whole K Squad community is, with book club. That's one thing we do is we try to make sure we read, books written by people with different backgrounds, different stories. Just because, it's very easy to get caught up in, capes and tights heroes, and they're all, equally awesome as well. But being able to shed light on stories by, authors of color and people wanting to share, unique stories. I think that's one of the big things that, is really good about book club. And, one of the reasons why I really like it is it gives us the opportunity to, shed the light on other stories that, are also important.
Right.
I do appreciate that when Seesaw he came to the conclusion that John Quincy Adams' way was not the way. It's really just the same thing that Black people specifically I've been dealing with for a long time, and it's he just wants freedom. The same road that they were going down. It's just happening again, and he saw that was not what he wanted. So I loved the turn. I loved that he became more of a protagonist than an antagonist. I can appreciate that, even as as a white person. I enjoyed that, but I also wanted to touch on that. I have a strong appreciation for books that aren't afraid to get political, but they don't push it on you.
They don't beat you over the head with it.
Yeah, and they just put it on the table, and there it is, and that's it. And they leave it alone, and they just move on. So I did like that more with Philadelphia than say Excellence.
Yeah.
So I can really appreciate that, because I really do. I never find myself enjoying myself when I'm reading something political or just discussing something political. That's not. I try to stay away from it as much as possible, even though it kind of affects all of us. So.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the things about Philadelphia that makes it what it is, I mean, you have Rodney Barnes and you have Jason and Sean Alexander, who are co-creators of this property. So they're vibing off each other, and they're balancing each other. Because I mean, I can't tell you for sure, but I think when you have, if you had Rodney Barnes and maybe another Black creator, like it just gets heavier in that realm where they're just like, you just start. It's like it's like a katamari. It's like a fucking snowball. You just start getting more and more amped about the message that you're sending. You start trying to amplify it, right? Like where you can start getting that way, and then all of a sudden now you have Jason, Sean Alexander that like, hey, maybe we should go in this direction, and then maybe Rodney Barnes and they just kind of vibe off each other. So I think that's what really sets it apart from something like Excellence, where it is totally a message book, right? That it's a message that they're trying to get across to you, where this is more, there's a message, but it's an underlying message.
Right. I think, and I think the other thing that kind of saves it is like this, Philadelphia, while clearly race plays a factor, right? Because I mean, in volume 1, almost all the vampires we see are Black people. So like at some point we got to answer that question, like, why are these the people being turned? But it very much deals in class, right? They even talk about like how, the lower class people, they were easy to turn because they wanted opportunities. The higher class people, the richer people, we had to entice them with like the sex and so on, right? Like I thought that was really, it was cool how they put that in there and didn't they didn't tell you what to think about it. It was just like, this is a fact of this world that we're establishing in this book. But yeah, Shannon, I did also enjoy Seesaw's turn. And it definitely reminded me of like every hood movie where the kid that's running with the gang is like, oh, nah, I don't want to run with the gang anymore. Like, was it South Central? Like, it reminded me of that. But again, it doesn't hit you over the head with it. If you have those references, it'll remind you of that. But if you don't, it's just still a dope story. I love this book for that reason.
I like that he. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, did anybody pick up on the American Gods reference from a Nazi? Or have you not gotten that far?
Uh-huh.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. It was only supposed to be volume 1. My bad. I'm an overachiever. What can I say?
Skip says he really enjoys Reckless, by the way, but Criminal is the top Brubaker and Phillips. And then Tapin Jeet gave us a super chat for 100 rupees. I had to look up the currency to make sure it was rupees. It says, thanks for answering all my questions.
Awesome. Thanks for the super chat.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, so if we had to rank these stories, where we rank?
I was just about to ask that. I was going through my list of questions. That was one right stop. Yeah. How would y'all rank this?
Out of the 3, or are we talking about like overall?
Of the 3, what do you rank them?
Of the 3.
Philadelphia, Something is Killing the Children, Lock and Key.
All right.
That's 3, 2, 1.
No, that's 1, 2, 3.
Oh, 1, 2, 3.
For me, it's literally the exact opposite.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, I think Lock and Key is my number one right now. I was really, really happy with how much better that is than the show, and then Philadelphia, then Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be Philadelphia, then Lock and Key, and Something is Killing the Children. I think that's going to be my order. I've really enjoyed those other two, and I've read all of Something is Killing the Children. I can't wait to see what happens next. But they really still need to push to. I hope the last part is good.
I think for me, Something is Killing Children and Philadelphia have to be tied for me. I think the biggest thing I like about both of those books is both of them have elements of the world that they've created that I'm really excited to learn more about. Lock and Key I thought was really good, but it also feels like a story that it can be a snapshot in time, so to speak, where I can read it, appreciate it, come back, read more, and not have to worry that I'm kind of, falling behind on a world that's existing there. Whereas these other two feel like there's so many elements that, are being explored. Like in Something is Killing the Children, there's the actual slaughterhouse, and they kind of hint a little bit about that in the first volume. And Philadelphia just has a whole city behind it. And a whole set of rules and things that exist there. So I think I'd have to put both of them as tied and then Lock and Key. But yeah, all of them I think were great. I think they were all good in their own unique ways, and I'm glad everyone enjoyed them, especially because all of these were recommendations from people in the K Squad. I typically randomize it, and so I was really happy when these three kind of came bundled together. I think that really made for a unique reading choice for this month's book club.
Laura's checking in via YouTube. She says her order is Lock and Key, then Something's Killing the Children, and then Philadelphia. And then Skip, also checking in from YouTube, says he liked Silver Coin quite a bit for a horror book. He's also not really into horror, but he loved issue 1 of Silver Coin and had to know what it was like, so he got into it.
Is that out in trade yet?
Good. I don't think it's out yet. I think it's coming soon. But Silver Coin I liked because it was this anthology series that still kind of connects to each other. But my LCS has been telling me that apparently horror is like the big thing right now in the comic book world. There's just a lot of independent horror stories coming out. Are y'all reading anything else aside from, or any other horror titles at the moment?
Censor.
The Silver Coin Volume 1 just came out in trade. You can get it on Amazon.
Awesome.
I'll put the link here in the chat. But yeah, it just came out like 2 weeks ago.
I just finished reading Redneck by Donny Cates. That was a pretty good story. I really want to see where it's going. And that is basically like Southern vampires. That's all I can say. It was pretty good though. Donny Cates is a great writer.
Donny Cates is an epic writer. Yes, very much so.
I just because it just came out this week, I just started reading the DC versus Vampires.
How was that?
It's really surprisingly good.
To me,
it's also by James Tynion, right?
It is.
What happened?
No, he said he was just asking who it was by. It is by James Tynion. I just read it. I gave it a lower rating, but maybe I was just salty because it wasn't like Deceased with Vampires. It was a lot slower of a first issue.
Yes.
And I just didn't feel that, oh, I gotta see what happens next. I didn't feel that coming out of the issue. But I'm gonna give issue 2 a shot still.
Yeah, I like the flip, like how it ended versus how it started, because it ended completely differently from what I was expecting. And I think that twist at the end was like, I don't know, I think that's what hooked me. you know, because like the whole time I'm kind of reading it and like I didn't know where I stood on it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate it, didn't love it, and then at the end I was just like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. And yeah, it just made me. It didn't make me like excited for this next issue, but I'm definitely getting it, and I'm definitely gonna like give it that shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read Deceased earlier this month. I read all 4 trades and loved every bit of it. It was so good.
Deceased was awesome. Tom Taylor's great.
I love Deceased. So good.
I have not read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's definitely worth reading for sure.
Sorry,
That's one
guys,
of
I'm gonna
those,
put my seatbelt on.
It's one of those stories I actually read through in one sitting, and I don't typically do that. I usually try to find like a good break, and that one I was like, nope, I might as well get comfortable.
Well, let me just say that I read the first Deceased book, and then a year later I read the second one, and I felt no need to try and like, reread the first one or anything. You can just jump right in, no problem.
Yeah. It almost feels like you could read any of the Deceased sequels like in any order. Perhaps
Yeah.
except for Dead Planet. Like Dead Planet you do need to read last, I think. But Skip's got a recommendation here. He says, of course, there is Ice Cream Man, the most creative ongoing series on the market. He said that horror is too real and he loves it.
Yeah. And I'm going to recommend another horror book. This is an AWA Upshot book, Year Zero. This is volume 1. If you have not read Year Zero, go and grab it. Trades for this AWA Upshot line are $9.99. You cannot beat that for what they are. This is an epic story. If you like zombies, you'll love that book.
And Benjamin Percy writes that.
Percy is great.
Yes, that is Benjamin Percy, and he's doing some great stuff these days.
CAWA is following that image trait where the first volume's cheaper so they can hook you in.
Well, they're kind of smaller too. Like I don't
That's
think.
fair.
Yeah, there's not as much to it like other trades.
I'm reading almost everything that AWA puts out. The only thing that really disappointed me was an American Roman, and it just didn't grab me. But everything else has been really good. Bad Mother, also great read.
Yeah, I think AWA is limiting all of their series to like either 4 or 5 issues. So I think that's also why the trades are so inexpensive.
They don't have a lot. They don't have any variants, do they? They're pretty much just cover A, right?
I think so.
I think they have a few, but like they're starting to expand some of them. Like this Marjorie Finnegan Temporal Criminal is on issue 8 or 6 of 8. And so they're starting to expand away from, just the 5 issues and getting into some deeper stories. That one's written by Garth Ennis. And if you like Garth Ennis, you love his stories. I haven't read it yet, but I'm waiting to get all 8 issues and binge it all.
So guys, I need to sign off. So I had to sign off the YouTube and everything too. But real quick, I just wanted to say thank you guys for joining. And thank you guys for allowing me to take the book club public. Usually the book club happens inside the Facebook group, inside the K Squad, and what happens in the K Squad stays in the K Squad. But I wanted to give these guys an opportunity to, share the books that they love with all of you as well. And so for upcoming, book club meetings, the best thing for you to do is going to be to join the K Squad. The K Squad currently exists on 2 platforms. We're on Facebook and we're on Discord, but the book club typically happens on Facebook. So if you want to get in, usually Seth will do like the announcement of what the next book club is, like a couple of days after book club. So I'll let you guys know in the community post what we're reading, and go ahead and join the group. The book club isn't the only thing we do. We do cover art swaps where we all get blank sketch covers. We draw something and send it to people, Secret Santa style. And beyond that, we just have fun. We post our hauls, we post our recent pickups and comic reviews. So the K Squad is definitely the place where you want to be. You can join. The link is in the description below. So if you were watching on YouTube, much appreciated. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the YouTube broadcast now.
One quick thing.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
So I was able to get an extra copy of House of Slaughter #1. If anyone wants to put their name in the chat. Sorry, for right now it's just domestic, but I was going to give this out to a random person.
Okay.
Just as a thank you for, the book club being on the hangout for today. So put your name in the chat. If you're in the United States, I'll pick a name at random and then I'll connect with you. Be sure to be in the K squad though, so this way I know who to send it to.
Right.
But yeah, House of Slaughter #1 giveaway.
Super dope.
Awesome.
Noise.
So I'll let.
All right. Well, yeah.
I'll let this run in the comments for a second to see, because we got this whole 10-second delay. We'll see whose names pop up.
Yeah.
Did anybody else read A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance?
Not yet. No.
I think it's Remender that writes it, but it was very good. Little bit of a slow burn, like, and you just kind of wonder what the hell is going on until you get to the end. But once you get to the end, everything just clicks, and you're just like, wow, it's just really cool, really good book.
Word. Well, look, we don't have any entries. I'll put my name in the chat. Shoot.
Yeah,
Do it in the K squad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it inside the.
We'll
do it inside the group.
All right.
And in true Noah fashion, Noah just got the reminder that the hangout was live. We've been live for 2 hours.
You late, Noah?
We'll see. We'll see him in the group too. All right, my name is in here and Laura's in here. We'll rework the giveaway. Seth will post the rules in the Facebook group. But yeah, thank you guys so much for doing this book club and going live with it. I hope you guys heard about stories that you're interested in. And maybe you'll decide to pick one of these up. And if not one of these, it's cool, because you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy and be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. And that's it. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Okay,